We all freeze. All right, we'll get the boring part out of the way. Our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Caveman Coffee. You can head over to cavemancoffeeco.com and use the code BLACKIRON. Get yourself some cold brew, some hibiscus teas, some coffee.
K-cups.
They do have K-cups now. Podcast is also sponsored by Gnarly Nutrition. Get yourself some vegan. Oh, I keep interrupting, right, Face?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and sort of Reebok. I'm
Yeah,
just going to keep leaving these here.
The gym's sponsored-ish by Reebok, but we don't have any cool discount codes for you guys, but we're going to show off these beautiful legacy lifters that I already hyped up a bunch. Gnarly Nutrition. Every single podcast, we just hype up Gnarly Nutrition. I think you guys get it by now. You can get yourself some vegan protein, whey protein, BCAAs, pre-workout.
I love the...
I was waiting for it.
What is it called? Gnarly Slim?
The Slim.
Slim.
I have bad news.
What?
They're discontinuing it.
No. Mm-hmm. Gnarly, this is not okay with me.
Good thing I'm in the middle
You
here.
need to figure this one out because that's my favorite product.
I don't know when they're discontinuing it, but when I tried to order it wholesale for the gym, they said it was being discontinued at some point. So
I'm having a problem with my microphone.
I can tell.
You like the stand?
It needs Viagra. It's going the wrong way.
And because of our special guest today, today's podcast is also brought to you by my PowerDot. You can go to mypowerdot.com. You can use my code because I'm selfish. Chrissy May 15. It'll save you 15% off on the device. You guys have seen me use it a ton. You know I'm a firm believer in it. We'll talk about that more today as we go on, but there's lots of other shit to talk about first. Mm-hmm. So,
including who is our guest today?
I always let our guests introduce themselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know, and the guests hate it, but usually
we all know, but
so
we
tan.
gotta do an introduction.
So dry.
Yeah, you are, man.
it's
I
very
was
dry.
in Hawaii.
I'm just gonna keep covered up.
I need to go to Hawaii.
For the trail run?
Yeah.
Ugh. I thought you don't like running.
I don't like running, but it's for a good cause. And I do want to point out publicly that I beat my CEO and our global sales, our VP of global sales, by over an hour.
Really?
And they talked a lot of shit to me. So I have to blow them out on your podcast and let everybody know that I ruined them.
So how long is that? Is it a 10K?
You can do a 5K or a 10K option. So it was really beautiful. It was amazing.
Is it your first year doing it?
Yep, first year.
People try to get me to go every year, and I just can't commit.
It's worth it. The 5K, I think, was good. No, you don't want to do it?
No.
A 5K is 3.5 miles.
That I could do, but I feel like
take you
I would
less
have
than
to
20
do
minutes.
10K because
Because you're competitive.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're doing a Hawaiian trail run, I feel like doing a 10K. That'd be cool.
Doesn't
Guess
Jackie
you're
do
saying-
it?
Yeah.
Which Jackie?
Perez.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
There's so many Jackies.
Yeah. A lot of Jackies. But
Sorry,
no,
we
it's
never let you
beautiful.
introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. I should probably tell you. I'm just this
so
mystery
excited.
voice on the mic. My name is Anneke Marvin, and I do a lot of things at PowerDot. I'm a founder. I handle our social media. I handle our athletes and events, and that's why I'm here for the Spartan Worlds up in Tahoe. So thought I'd make a little pit stop.
But in addition to that, you do a lot of other cool stuff too.
Like
your charity work and the stuff like that.
yeah, I do participate in, I don't know what the right word is.
Yeah.
I do support and consult with a charity called Operation 22 MST that provides 90-day inpatient integrative therapy for female victims of military sexual assault.
Wow.
That's something that's really close to my heart.
Yeah.
And it's actually being built. The facility is now, the land is purchased.
Oh, wow.
And
Really?
Yeah. They just closed the deal on that, and they are building, there is an existing facility, but they have to build it out to be able to accommodate
Right.
everyone.
Oh, so cool.
So it'll be open January.
Where will that be at?
It's in Temecula.
Okay.
It's right outside in the hills of Temecula.
Okay.
They have, I don't know how many acres. It's huge, and they'll address physical, emotional, spiritual, health as part of that. So most of these women have turned to drugs and or alcohol
Yeah.
in an attempt to kind of numb some of the
Right.
feelings, obviously, which there's a ton of those when you're assaulted in any way, shape, or form. But when you're in the military, it carries some additional burdens just because of the culture and the stigma.
Right.
So really this affects families. Many of them have kids and families. And so it's really tragic to see that they put themselves on the line for our country. And to get an appointment in the VA is nearly impossible.
And these women are being assaulted by fellow military people, or is it a...
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's usually superior.
Oh, man,
or not,
There's a lot of levels to it,
superiors.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's a culture of rank. It's a culture of hierarchy. In some cases, vindication. And so, yeah.
And then externally, there's a ton of political pressure not to make it seem as if there are problems in our military.
Right.
It's borderline. Don't criticize the military.
Well, and it's mixed emotions. I was in the
Yeah.
Marine Corps, and I'm really proud of that service. And I had great Marines work for me. I mean, I saw some amazing transformations, and there was a lot of pride involved in that. But then there is, this dark side that I think nobody's done a great job of addressing.
Right.
And it kind of gets shoved under the carpet, in part because we as veterans or military members have been told, just suck it up. It's that mentality of just suck it up and be tough and keep going.
Exactly.
And so you feel like it's kind of a betrayal of the fraternity, just because there is no word for fraternity/sorority, but it's a betrayal of that community. You're not being tough. There could be a lot of revenge or whatnot if it's somebody who is superior to you. And once you get out there, very few resources to really deal with it. So as somebody who was sexually assaulted in the military, it took me a long time to really face it and then get the right help and find a support system. And fortunately, I didn't turn to drugs and alcohol as my outlet, but there's so many ways that manifests itself. So.
Absolutely.
But my life is really good now, and I feel like I'm in a good place. And so Dr. Gellis, who heads this foundation up, told me, why let your pain be wasted? And I
That's
think
fucking
that's a good,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So pay it forward. And, the message for these women is, hey, I've been there. I've been on the edge. Thank God I didn't go over. I had people help me. My life is really amazing now, and yours can be too.
Did
So.
you deal with your recovery while you were still serving, or did you deal with it after?
No, it was a long time after. The story is a little bit unique. I'll give you the very condensed version. I ended up basically, my attacker assaulted me in my home and then ended up holding me hostage in my life essentially for 2 years because he was an explosive ordnance disposal technician. He threatened my family, my very young daughter. And, I would do anything to protect my child.
Right.
So when he eventually left me and moved on to, unfortunately, another woman, he has since committed suicide. But when he left me and went on to that woman, I went on with my life. I picked up the pieces. I just kept going. And it wasn't until I had 3 children and was remarried, and I found out that he committed suicide, all those feelings that had been buried really came back. And my husband, who is my best friend, but also very direct, was basically like, look, I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but you are miserable. Like, you need to get a hold of this and get some help. And so I did. And it's still ongoing. I mean, there's still circumstances and situations where I'll still be like,
Right.
Of course.
and I get those panic attacks. But, there's a lot of facets to it. Meditation. I do take medication, therapy, exercise, friends. I mean, there's so many things. So everybody's solution is kind of unique, and that's why integrative therapy works best.
Right.
Everybody's recipe for success is a little different.
Yeah, and everyone's recipe for therapy is a little different, or like recovering from anything. And I think in some respect, all of us are recovering from something, whether it's like heartache or abuse or alcohol, or, it could be anything. And like everybody's recovery process is a little bit different. And the way I treat my recovery now at 4.5 years sober is completely different than the way I treated it at a year. And again, like there's levels and there's phases and there's stages. And like, as you change as an individual, I feel like so does, your recovery and how you manage it and stuff like that. I had no fucking idea about any of that, and I'm like super blown away right now. Like,
This is the first time I think I've ever talked about it on
Really?
a public level. So
it's super inspiring, and it's very like it, like it just shows like how fucking strong you are, and the fact that you took care of yourself for your family, and and yourself, and just I'm trying not to cry.
don't cry. Then I'll cry, and I'll be crying.
I cry on the podcast a lot.
No, thank you. But I mean, I really think my child, now children, but I mean, they're motivation for everything. So
Yeah.
I think if it weren't for them, I would have been in a different place. But
Right.
they definitely, you look at your children and you really would do anything for them. And no matter how hard it is, you have to go through that struggle because you owe it to them
Yeah,
to take care of
absolutely.
yourself.
I mean,
So,
and amazing, your husband just there for you, but telling you that you needed to address it. I mean, that's love, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not going to let you just be like, okay, and be fucked all the time.
yeah.
I don't feel like dealing with this today.
Yeah. Well,
There's
we
so
have a
many
history
people
of
like
just,
that, though,
like
you know?
tough love. Like
Right.
Yeah.
when I met him, actually, I was doing figure and I was on a lot of drugs, like testosterone and growth hormone. And he literally, I mean, we'd seen each other in the gym and we're like, hey. But he thought I was this snotty bitch, which I probably was. And, I'm a figure girl. And I thought he was this like meathead, which he probably was. And
I feel like you and I are like,
I have like
destined to be
97,000
so
questions.
friends.
I have so many questions, and I don't even know where to
where
like
to start.
Yeah.
Well, he just walked up to me one day and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go do legs. It's Tuesday, duh. It's leg day." He's like, "No, I mean, what are you doing? You're in here like 3 hours a day, dropping your kids off in the kids' care, like." And that was my addiction. I think
Yeah.
was like
How long ago was this?
working out. We've been married almost 11 years. So
Okay.
it was like 13. It must be like 12 or 13 years
Okay.
ago. And he's like, "No, I mean, you're obviously on a whole bunch of drugs." And no, I mean, it was like the unspoken, it was like
Just-
the
He
worst
is
kept
direct.
secret.
You-
Yeah. I mean, that's
you
what I
out.
mean. He's
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?" And that was he kind of rescued me from that too, because it was the first time I was like, "What am I doing?
Now-
what is this whole thing?"
Do you feel like that was masking all
Oh, yeah.
that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Right, because
yeah.
Yeah, I did the same shit. Like I was in the gym for 4 or 5 hours a day training like a maniac when I got sober because I didn't know what else to do with
You're
myself.
channeling your addiction like
Right, yeah.
into a different place, and the endorphins, and I needed so much external validation because I had been made to feel so worthless that
Right.
I know I'm probably going to, well, you might get a lot of comments about this when I say this, so I'll apologize in advance, but I feel like not all, but many people who enter into that physique realm are
Right.
looking for somebody else to validate their
Oh
physical
yeah,
appearance.
and I talk about this.
you mean
Yeah,
most
we-
of us on
Yeah.
social
Okay,
media?
well,
We've been on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've ripped
Yeah.
into this before, and the fact that like the reason I don't really agree with that world is because it's completely like up to a stranger to determine your worth and your look. Like
Yeah.
it's not like, whereas like with weightlifting or powerlifting or CrossFit, it's who performs the best, and
Right.
that it's black and white. You either win or you lose, and the stuff with all the physique stuff, and like my thing is that these girls dedicate so much time and effort, and they destroy their metabolisms and their
Yeah.
brains and their bodies all for a stranger to point at who looks the best on
Yeah.
a fucking stage. And I just don't get it. Why do that to
But
yourself?
men too.
Yeah.
Men
Oh,
too,
it's-
because I know some of the nicest men, but I'm like, I know mentally this has to fuck with you. Like, why?
yeah.
I
don't
used to
get it.
make the joke like with my non-fitness friends. I was like, "Oh yeah, I used to have like good self-esteem, and I used to think I was good looking, and then I started working in fitness."
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
And then
true.
it's just like the whole thing is like, oh, they, as much as everybody wants to talk about like, oh, it's like self-empowerment and you can't compare yourself to others. You're literally
that's the whole point.
That is the point of what you're doing,
Yeah.
is to be compared to others and
Yeah.
judged by that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you have shitty genetics, like your arms are too short, your torso's too long, your legs are short. Doesn't matter that you are the leanest. It doesn't matter that you have the heaviest squat. It doesn't matter that you spent the most time in the gym. Sucks. Bye. Try next time.
Yeah,
Just-
it's
and it sets up a lot of terrible eating
Oh yeah.
disorders. I mean, terrible
I
feelings
have-
about food.
I have probably like a dozen clients that are like CrossFitters or weightlifters now, but they switched over from bodybuilding and they have beautiful bodies, beautiful fucking bodies. But these girls don't think so because they're so fucked from like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So did you ever compete in bodybuilding?
Not bodybuilding, but
Okay.
then it was figure.
Yeah.
Now it's been broken into bikini and
Yeah.
physique. But yeah, I did. And after, almost getting my pro card so many times, I realized it was essentially because I wouldn't literally suck someo's dick to
Right,
get
yeah.
a pro card. And I don't mean that figuratively.
Right,
I mean
yeah.
like literally. And I'm thinking, this is like, A, you make no money. You spend a ton of money.
It's
You're-
so
yeah,
expensive.
it's ridiculous. It's
It's
just
so-
ridiculous. I'm
like
sorry.
CrossFit.
I
I'm just
feel
gonna
it's
ruin my own life.
Yeah.
For,
you don't celebrate anything. I dieted through my 30th birthday. Like, who does that? And you know what was really sad? When my daughter, we were at a birthday party and somebody said, do you want cake? And she's like, no, my mom's on a diet. She's always on
my
a diet. And I was like, she was little.
That's cock-a-boo-boo.
Yeah. I was like,
good
yeah. So my husband's like, what do you do? I mean, he's a great guy, but he is definitely a believer in just directness and tough love. And that works for us because I don't put up with passive aggressive bullshit either.
Yeah.
So, so we have a history of just telling it like it is.
So
this is definitely not the direction I thought this podcast.
I'm excited. I'm fucking pumped.
I had so many topics to go over.
Oh, you don't even know. We're just
excited.
starting.
This
So-
might be 2 hours.
can I
Did
pull this
everyone
out?
bring
So I don't
snacks?
have to-
Yeah,
forward?
that way I can lean
Okay.
back.
Yeah, so we can all see each other. Good. Perfect.
So how'd you get into like the functional side of things? Because obviously you're like into like weightlifting and CrossFit and all the functional side of fitness now. So how'd you go from that extreme to the other? Because I've done it too, and I'm always curious to hear how people went from that to such a huge departure.
Well, after my husband, not then obviously, but after he called me on it, I just kind of had this epiphany. I mean, it was literally almost overnight. I went into my trainer and I'm like, hey, I need a break from this.
Yeah.
And I just never went back. And then my husband and I eventually got married. I went, back to running, which is like my old state. I ran track in college, so I went back to running.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do anything for a while, and you kind of develop this like fuck fitness mentality. Where,
I have it right now.
yeah. I'm like, I'm eating everything, and I'm not doing anything physical.
Yeah.
And then he mountain biked, and he coerced me onto a mountain bike, even though I was convinced I was going to die.
Yeah.
And then I ended up racing mountain bikes, and I actually started CrossFitting to up my power output on the flats,
Yeah.
mountain
Makes
biking.
sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I remember my sister made me do a CrossFit workout on vacation in New Jersey. Thanks, Kariana. I love you, but I really hated you that day. And I'm like,
Did you just say you went on vacation to New Jersey?
my sister lives there.
Okay. I just needed to clarify.
The beaches are beautiful.
The beaches aren't bad.
I
Honestly,
haven't
though,
been.
like,
They're very
That's
nice.
where you gotta go if you're gonna go on.
yeah. There are very nice parts of New Jersey.
Yeah, like
There's a
Western
lot of
New
money
Jersey.
there. Yeah.
which is where my sister lives.
Lots of old money there.
I
yeah.
would go if my friend Nick would
there-
invite me
there-
out there,
there's
but
a-
Nick has not invited me out there.
You can go
I
with
joke
me.
about it a lot, but like
Nick,
when we
you're
lived in
done.
New York, I had most of the people I got along with the most lived in either Long Island or Jersey, and those are the spots that everybody makes fun of.
Long Island's
But-
fucking rad when you go way the hell out
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
you go there and it's like, oh, like this is where normal, actual human beings live, like not
The
people
Jersey
that are-
Shore cast.
Not that, and just everybody in Manhattan. Is
Not,
just
you mean,
so
yeah, we lived in the middle of
performative.
Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like robots and they're performative and they're like perform emotion and it's, you get out to
Very
like
interesting.
Jersey and then you get out to Long Island and it's like, oh, it's easy to make fun of, but it's like, well, I'm from fucking Reno and like we had a whole show that like our town was the punchline.
Yeah.
So like I get it. And Jersey's amazing. You get outside of like Jersey City.
Yeah.
Yeah, get off the
Newark.
turnpike.
Yeah.
You've never been?
Exactly.
Turnpikes are so weird. I still
It's
don't
very
understand
weird.
what they are.
They just
Like,
charge
if
you a lot of
if
money
you've only
to
ever
drive
driven
around.
into Secaucus, like of course it's of course you'd be like, this is a garbage dump.
Sorry
But
to
you gotta
everybody
go,
in
like, Montclair
Secaucus.
or something. You're like, damn.
So, yeah.
State.
Yeah, my
Green.
sister has a CrossFit gym in Morristown. So
okay.
she yeah, so we're on vacation in New Jersey, which is beautiful.
I really love how well you come back, because I never
don't.
come back.
Yeah.
You bring it back. I love it.
Focus.
That's one of my other official duties in the office. I'm like, okay, we're still trying to figure out the budget for this event. We've discussed like,
Man.
did dinosaurs really exist, and like the Big Bang Theory, and now we're bringing it back to the event again.
It's like working for me.
Yeah.
Chaos and confusion at all times.
Just cover everything. But she's like, let's do this CrossFit workout, and I was trying to go pro as a mountain biker, and I'm like, ugh, okay, this is gonna be lame. I'm almost a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Duh, I'm gonna kill this. And I couldn't sit down in a beach chair for like a week. So of course I'm like, and she beat me.
Yeah.
It was a 12-minute AMRAP of double unders, kettlebell swings, and pistol squats. And I couldn't double under, which pissed me off. She made me tuck jump. And I did hold on to the garage door track to like haul my ass out of the bottom of the pistol squats. And at like 4 minutes in, I'm like, where are we at? She's like, 8 minutes. I'm like, oh, 8 minutes in? No, 8 minutes to go. I'm like, this is the longest fucking 12 minutes of my life. Mm-hmm. And that was that. And then I didn't make it in mountain biking. And then I just became a CrossFitter and
Here you
Olympic
are.
lifter. And here I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I always
Everybody-
wonder.
Everybody that tries like all the body figure, like bodybuilders, figure competitors, it's kind of a passe thing now. But there's still some that love to trash CrossFit, and then almost universally they actually go in and try it, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
A, that was fun, and B, that was brutal.
Well, every single one of my Fitspo friends that tries it loves it.
Yeah.
And they all
Oh.
say they wish they
Yeah,
didn't
'cause
wait
then
so
you
long.
start to feel
Yeah.
alive again.
Right. And it's fucking fun. You're working out with people. It's like a community thing. And it's like, people think it's, I don't know why people, I guess I used to think it was stupid, but I thought it was stupid because just anybody could go spend $1,000 and become a coach.
Yeah.
So my issue wasn't with CrossFit itself. My issue was with the people that were coaching it at like the beginning of things during the big wave. I was like, wait a second, anybody can go get this cert and then just coach at a CrossFit gym. And I think that was my issue with it.
Yeah, I wrote about this actually in our essay to become an affiliate. My sister gifted me a level 1.
Yeah.
Because she's on the level 1 staff, or was at that point. And I went in fully with the intention of like tearing CrossFit's methodology down.
Yeah.
Because I was ACSM and NASM and CSCS and all those
Yeah.
fun letters. And I did the seminar, and I'm like, this is actually really amazing. And lo and behold, we opened a CrossFit gym. But yeah, I definitely went into it looking to disprove it.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was too. I mean, the only reason I got my cert was because I didn't even want this to be a CrossFit gym. I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then everybody that worked for me did CrossFit, and they're like, what's the hang? And then I started doing CrossFit too, and I started really loving it. And then when I went to do my level 1, I remember just thinking like, this is so stupid. I'm not going to learn shit, and it's going to be a bunch of like CrossFit fanboys and fangirls. But I learned a lot. I did, and I learned like about like the methodology and the stuff like that. And it's like, CrossFit's fucking great when it's done right,
Yeah, for
good
sure.
gym, good coaches.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, I'm gonna do a complete fucking 180 right
Okay.
now. Everybody listens to this podcast knows how I feel about the man that's in office right now. So now that I never knew you were in the military. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. So I would like to talk about your thoughts on the recent no trans people allowed in the military.
I thought you were going to say the flag, because we had a heated discussion about the kneeling during the anthem
Yeah,
in football. But that's, like a symptom of a bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think ever when shit hit the fan, so to speak, did I ever think, oh, is this person to my right or left gay, straight, trans, black, white,
Right.
Muslim?
Right.
I mean, I think that's an ignorant statement from somebody who's never been in the military.
Thank you. Fucking thank you.
So I know there are people that disagree with me. I've had tons of heated conversation on your Instagram, my Instagram.
Oh, I've gone to war on Chloe's Instagram.
Well, that's how you and I
connected.
Right.
Initially. Yeah.
Everyone knows that I'm not a participator. Usually when shit starts going down on my Instagram, I usually just let the people do what they want, because
Let the
I'm not going to change anyone's
Yeah.
mind. That's how I feel. But I feel like just living my life is enough for me.
Yeah.
But other people do. And that's how we became associated.
Right.
And Chrissy, because of that virtual shitstorm with what's her name, right?
Oh, that other fitness girl from Sweden.
Paula.
Yeah. Well,
Idiot.
I mean,
Wasn't that it?
Yeah,
That's where it started. Remember?
Insane
And
breath.
that's where it started. I was up till 3 a.m, furious, going back and forth. And I remember I text Chloe at like 4. I was like, "You're gonna be really mad at me when you wake up. I love you. I'm sorry. Bye." She woke up to like 197 comments on a post.
It was insane.
Half of which were from me.
Yeah.
Yelling at
Insanity.
It's so like, I think for me, I've just recently learned how to do this year. I've just recently learned how to get my point across the appropriate way. It used to
And
be,
not have to argue.
It used to be a lot of, for me, like name calling and cuss words. And I was very like overly emotional to the point where I wasn't using my education and my vocabulary and my brain to like go back and forth with these people. And so I remember I left a really shitty comment about some guy and I was like, "Oh, just go bang your sister in the backwoods some more, you fucking bigot." Blah, blah, blah. Just like being shitty like that. And that's not how you get your point across, but like,
No,
but it's hard when
it's
you're
hard.
passionate.
Yeah, I know.
When you're passionate about
Yeah.
anything,
And-
whatever it is, it's hard to stay.
and when somebody's
calm
hurting your
sometimes.
friend or hurting
Right,
you,
and it's like-
it's hard.
their name calling, but like I literally learned this year because I feel like a year and a half ago I was still really like, people would name call me, so I would name call back, and I would call people like, "You're a fucking moron," and it's like, you don't have to say those things to people to get your point across, even though some of these people are those things.
Right.
You don't need to like call them that. And it's like, you know who actually really freaking taught me about how to like convey my message better? Kat is so
Kat is very well spoken.
Grace
Vol. Kat from Vol.
Yeah.
Leone.
She is very well spoken.
Yeah,
Very
and
well spoken.
there was one of your posts you made about a year ago. I think we had just moved into the house because I don't think Ben was living with us yet because he wasn't there.
I know what you're talking about.
And you made a post and like her and I were on it arguing, not with each other obviously, but with people. But she was being very like graceful and tactful and like not cussing and getting her point across. And then I was like dropping F-bombs everywhere. And then I was like reading Kat's post and I was like, "Oh my God, I have to delete all of mine." Like I was so embarrassed for myself. And it was that moment where I was like, I don't need to name call and cuss to get my point across. And now when I do get into the debates, like, you know, banning trans people in the military, I no longer have to call, like, I choose to no longer call people like fucking idiots.
Yeah,
And
no more name calling.
Yeah.
You're
It doesn't-
essentially doing the same thing that they're doing.
You're
but
stooping
in
to their
defense.
level.
Yeah.
And it gets, and
It's-
like nothing comes of it, you know? But even like with Ben, because Ben is like really tactful and like graceful with how he, you know, gets into these arguments with people. And the day that all this stuff came out about banning the, you know, trans people in the military, he made a post about it and some guy got into it with him. And Ben wrote back like, "How many trans people do you know?" The guy's like, "Well, none." And Ben's like, "Okay, well, I live with one and she's also one of my best friends. And this is clearly something you know nothing about. So you shouldn't comment on it." You know, and he like, it just explained stuff like so gracefully. And the guy like came around and said, "You know what? You made some really great points and you're right." And I'm like, and I was like blown away.
Yeah.
You're like, this works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's my issue is, I mean, there's so many issues. If you haven't been in the military, just stop
Is he
talking.
Do we always have a president that's been in the military? No.
Obama wasn't.
No, but I think if you're going to ban certain groups of people from the military, you should have at least, when you talk about mission accomplishment and all these things, if you haven't been in the military but you're banning people because you're claiming they aren't, that
Right.
they're somehow damaging mission accomplishment. I mean, do you even know what that means? And there are trans people serving now, and we're still accomplishing our missions. So obviously, that argument doesn't hold water.
Right.
Do you think he just pulls stuff out of his ass to try and make a big deal out of something, so something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
The
like
David
the shit.
Blaine. It's the David Blaine. Look over here.
Yeah,
So
and
you
it's
don't
like
see what
the
he's-
fucking
Just to
shit
rally
with
the base.
the NFL this weekend.
Yeah.
Look at Puerto Rico. The whole fucking island doesn't have power. We can't even get supplies to them. Like, what the fuck, man? And I'm just gonna pick a fight with fucking rich black people. Like, come on.
It's just to rally your base.
Sorry, I get very.
It's fine.
He watches enough TV that he knows like
Yeah.
when his ratings are down, and
Yeah.
he knows when people are, that's like polling something like that where you're not going to change anybody's mind. Like that's an easy way to get people that don't like him but have that same sentiment to
to
come
side with
together.
him.
Yeah, to rally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there could be people who don't
And
like
he
Trump.
admitted that.
and
he
don't-
admitted that like Monday, I think. It was in the like one of the newspapers he was talking about. He's like, yeah, I did that because like
My ratings are down, so to speak. I mean,
Right.
it's really.
Yeah, no.
you
no
just
one's tweeting about it.
You got a mind that's rotting from syphilis or something. And
Ooh, syphilis rot. That's a good one.
he's
That's something
just
I would bring up.
wanna
just
po-
your angry uncle.
I just want to point out that Twitter is thinking about going, God help us, to 280
I saw it
characters. I'm
yesterday.
like, oh, shit.
I'm not a big tweeter.
I'm a
so-
I'm not
huge
either, but
tweeter.
Trump is going to, now we get 280 characters of
Yeah.
perfect.
And
Idiocy.
and, Nazis, online Nazis that have double the length of tweets to talk about why Jews aren't people and why America is only a whites should be only a whites only society.
A
Have you read The
heterosexual.
Handmaiden's Tale?
I've read the book and I've watched the
She's
original
obsessed.
movie and
Okay.
watched this series because I feel like that's going to happen with.
Yeah, no, I'm reading the book right now. I'm almost done with it. I read it mostly on the plane, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like,
Is the book good?
So
yes,
I watched
it's
the movie.
scary
living
though.
order
It's
right now.
scary.
I mean,
and
we were
good.
both younger when the movie came out, but
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie and being like, it has affected me until this day of my life. And I don't think a lot of people saw it.
Yeah.
And then I read the book and I was like, could happen right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right now.
It's scary. And that's why I think I saw the movie, but when I was younger, it didn't register with me quite the same way. But now I'm like, I feel like this is where we could be
Yes.
headed. I mean,
Yes.
not in like some kind of
Oh, it's Margaret Atwood.
hysterical way. Yeah.
I've read all of her books except that one.
Yeah. It's disturbing on a lot of levels, but
Let's reread it together and then we'll have like a little
book discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's start a
Perfect.
book club podcast.
A book club podcast. That's so exciting.
Oprah's got nothing on us.
Well, for everybody
Oh.
listening, I just bought the book and I'm going to start reading it once I get it. So if anyone wants to read it with me,
You could have just
I don't
bought
know when
2.
you're going to, I'm just going to charge this to Chloe's card.
That's fine.
Thanks.
It's just the business card. It's my business card.
It won't even let me. There, continue.
Yeah, but we started talking a little bit downstairs about my
This is a great
religion.
Oh, yeah.
Great segue.
And we were told to save it so we can kind of, I guess, take it from there because you
So-
asked me if I was Christian.
Yeah, so I have very little to say about it because I want to hear you say a lot. But so this was my experience.
Oh, I got a lot to say.
What made you want to ask her this, though? That's what I'm intrigued.
Okay, well, I don't take my ginkgo biloba, so I don't have the greatest memory all the time when it comes to important stuff. But somehow we spoke about religion briefly.
I think it was on actually one of your Instagram posts. Some guy was taking that route, and I was basically like, "Hey, dude, if you're a Christian and you're being this hateful, you're totally missing the boat on your religion.
probably what it was.
Like you missed the memo." And that's kind of where it started. I think.
I have one friend that I can remember, shout out to Kristen Orahood back home, a little bit older than us. And she was really the only Christian that I had a positive interaction with because she was so loving, never told me she was Christian, accepted me wholeheartedly, nothing mattered.
Right.
But up to that point, I'd really only had negative experiences with Christianity. So I ballooned it to all Christian people are going to hate me or hate trans people or hate, like,
Yeah.
right? So that was my fault. And then, so she was my first positive experience. When I moved to Florida, I just so happened, by the grace of the gods, the old and the new, or whoever, to land in a group of Christians that were also very loving and accepting. And I started going to, basically it was like adult Sunday school to learn more about Christianity and the Bible. And because I was very curious.
Right.
And I actually had a meeting with one of the leaders, and he explained to me that their church would have no problem with me, and they're very open-minded because it doesn't say in the Bible anywhere that I am an abomination or that I cannot be loved. Like, it's not in there.
Yeah.
And he said people take it and interpret it how they want, but that's not actually in there. So I had a great experience with it, but they lost me at creation. Oh. So I was all into it. I was like, yeah, this is making sense. That matches.
We're done.
And dinosaurs did not exist. And I was like, okay, love you guys. But like, I can't go that route.
Like the literalism.
But there's different levels of it, though. You know what I mean? Like, I have very religious friends who are people of science.
Yeah.
And like, I
They're
know
not
a lot of...
incompatible.
Huh?
They shouldn't be incompatible.
Right. And I know a lot of like doctors and scientists and stuff that have faith and they believe in all that. But then I also have friends that think dinosaur bones were put here by Jesus and God to test our faith. And that's where I'm like,
So how
It
just makes me laugh,
Jesus,
you know?
Jesus is God, and Jesus spoke in parables to bring his followers.
Are you talking about the
towards
Holy Trinity? I'm confused
Right.
already.
Well, Jesus is God.
Right.
Ryan comes...
And
Well, no,
This
Ryan...
is the
We're
other-
already diving
This is
deep.
the other
He is
confusing
he is
part.
he is
I can
the-
help you with that.
Yeah, he is the
Is it-
flesh and blood version of God, the manifestation of God in blood and flesh. Jesus spoke to all of his followers and non-believers in parables. And the whole point of talking in parables was talking in metaphors to bring people towards an understanding in a way that they could comprehend. Since Jesus is God and he used metaphor to communicate, why is it outside the realm of possibility that God says, like, God said there's no obligation for God to reveal his true nature or the true nature of the universe to the limited capacity of people's minds, because we do have a limited capacity. So if he was like, yeah, okay, so this is a year and here's 1,000,000, you guys don't even have a word for 1,000,000 yet because you can't comprehend it, but we'll just talk about it like it's a week. Because the easy thing to do is to talk about, well, how can you have the third day? How can you have 3 days, but on the third day you created light? So it's like...
So it's night.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so how did you know the first part was...
It's
2
almost like the
days?
dumbing down of
Right.
millions of years of
And
creation.
that's the whole thing is...
It's
be a
just
good
abbreviated.
teacher. To be a good teacher and to lead people to understanding, it's like, hey, it's not literally
You have to
this,
speak their language.
it's
You have to
like
teach them
this.
how
Yeah.
to
You
understand.
present
Right,
the information
when-
in a way they understand.
And that's like exactly. And people who understand that like those days could have been millions of years, you know?
And to me, your God is really small if he is obligated to follow your understanding of him.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good- yeah,
like
that's a
so
good
it's
point.
outside of reality, like outside the realm of possibility, because you don't understand it. I don't understand how cancer works, but I know it's real. I don't understand how the treatment works, but I know it's real.
Right.
You know, if you get too literal, you have to dismiss the electricity, televisions, movies, all of this stuff that has happened since then, because it's not permitted, because it's not explicitly laid out in the Bible.
Right.
Stated in the
But
Bible.
didn't you, sir? I mean, this is going to sound maybe stupid or ignorant or like, isn't part of serving in the military, whatever branch, to make this a better place, to make our country a better place, and like to protect us from shit trying to damage us? But now we're just doing it all to ourselves.
I mean, there's so many. Yeah, where do you start with that one? I mean, I agree. My grandfather was a Lutheran minister, but he was very progressive.
I grew up Lutheran too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your dad's a pastor, right? Or was?
My little brother is.
Oh, okay.
But
Where?
he's more of a Presbyterian would be the close. He's non-denominational, but he's closest to being a Presbyterian.
But even like within Lutheran, there's all these different synods, and so
Yeah, exactly.
ELCA was like the most liberal synod, and my grandfather was very progressive, and he, to sum up his entire like pastoral career in one phrase, he was basically like, look, everybody has their own cross to bear. Why don't you work on making yourself a good person? Our job isn't to go point the finger at everybody else. And above all, we are to love everyone. He talks about agape love, like love for all. And he traveled around and gave sermons on love and what that means. And so we were raised in our faith that that's our only real obligation as Christians, is to love everybody, and that it's not our job to go around judging, and we should really spend our time trying to focus on ourselves, knowing that we'll never be perfect, but like basically Christ didn't crawl off the cross and put any of us up there. So mind your own shit, kind of.
Through faith.
Yeah. And that's the thing you say when people don't talk about it. I don't run around with it on my sleeve, because I feel like if I live my life a certain way, people will just be like, oh, she's a good person. And then if it comes up, yes, I am a Christian, but I don't feel like I need to constantly be like waving that flag.
Right.
And like my grandfather also said, like, the Bible's great, but at some point you have to stop reading your Bible and close it. And faith is action.
Faith without works. Yeah.
Yeah. So go do. And that for me means that you accept people for who they are, and you love them, imperfections and all, because we all have them, and you don't judge people for things that are completely beyond our understanding. And like Ryan said, I don't know. The whole gay argument that's you can pray that away and you were born wrong. But then you're going to say Jesus doesn't make God makes no mistakes.
Exactly.
Okay, so like you're
Right.
And like you said, just because I don't understand something it's not mine to judge it. Like,
right.
Has this individual been a good person and kind to me? Yes. Great. I don't care what you are, as long as you're just trying to be a good person.
Right.
And all that judgment comes from worldliness, I would argue. And one of my best friends that I've been best friends with, like, we used to go out and get in fights and stuff all the time. We were super bad kids, and he's also now a pastor. He just posted, he's kind of funny. He was talking to me about how membership in this church has dropped because he's been calling out. He's like, all of you people that think God is Republican, you are
mistaken.
Right. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Republican.
The good Lord's a Republican.
He is not a political entity, and
he doesn't belong to the Republican Party.
And so he posted a little meme yesterday that said, like, well, you can't have separation of church and state if the state is your church.
Ah,
and like that's what it is. It's like you're substituting worldliness and patriotism. That's your religion,
right?
Like, Americanism.
God's not American.
Yeah,
right.
Like, God's
Americanism is your religion,
right?
And anything that contradicts that, if you have a problem with that, be like, okay, show me in the Bible. Show me in the Bible where that validates your beliefs. Otherwise, don't come at me.
Oh,
and
you
he's
guys,
had so many people quit because of that.
You're going to have reading lists for weeks when I'm done with you. So there's a book called God's Politics by Jim Wallace. I don't agree with all of it, but he talks about that. God is not Republican or Democrat. God is not, he doesn't belong to a party. And it's interesting. Like I said, I don't agree with everything he puts out there, but he at least explains it in a very dispassionate way. Right. It's very factual. And then he also contributes to a website called Sojourners. And I don't read it often, but they're very environmentally proactive. Like, hey, if you want to be, quote unquote, a good Christian, it is your job to protect
you're stewards of the earth.
Yes, exactly. And okay, all you people who go to church and wave the finger at everybody else, are you tithing? Because it says that in the Bible, but I highly doubt you're, So I mean, if you want, and that's the whole point, is if you want to get in this game of calling people out for doing things that aren't in the Bible, you could. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like, we're not perfect, so we could get on that. You could spend your whole life doing that. That's beside the point.
And when you're doing that to the extent that you're ruminating on just a handful of sins, then that becomes a political point.
That apparently have a greater point value. Like, abortion is a greater sin than taking the Lord's name in vain.
Like,
and like,
if you want to talk about degrees, be it like mentioning gay, which it's very, very, very limited mention in the whole Bible, but treatment of the poor is brought up
Right.
constantly. That is probably one of the biggest themes in the Bible, is to treat the least amongst us with dignity and respect
Yeah.
and love. And it's like, okay, so you're just going to stop at the like, oh, I hate gays.
Yeah.
Like God hates
Yeah,
fags.
yeah. It's Christianity's been distilled into basically like abortion,
Right. And
gay people.
and
That's it. That's
you
the
think
whole
that's-
And
kit
it's
and
an
caboodle.
it's an American thing because it ties into a lot of like what I think a lot of American conservative politics is, where it's just a grievance culture. And my brother and one of my best friends, both the pastors, have to deal constantly with, oh, well, the American church is dying, like people aren't Christian anymore. Okay, well, how come 86% of Americans self-identify as Christian still? And have you ever gone to a church in like a poor neighborhood, in a like membership in the church in Latino and African American communities is way up. So it's just like, I'm sorry that your white grievance culture thinks that you're becoming this dying breed and that you're the victim of all these things. It's like, you're not a victim, you're in the majority.
This is probably going to sound really ignorant, and this is how little I know about religion. Do you have to pay to go to church? Do you have to pay membership?
No,
You donate,
but it does-
right?
No, but it does say that you should give 10% of your income. It's called tithing.
Yeah, I know that.
And
They
I've heard
still
that.
do that in
Because I
Sweden.
didn't know that was I thought
Oh,
tithing
well,
was like a Catholic thing. I didn't know it was a Christian
They
thing.
do it in their paycheck.
It's a Christian thing. And so in countries where there is no separation of church and state, like in Norway, for example, where I hold dual citizenship, you do get certain tax advantages and such if you're a member of the Norwegian Christian church.
Wait, are you Norwegian?
Yeah.
Have you ever done your DNA test? Because I just
Here we
found
go.
out.
No, like I'm off the boat. Like
I just
not the
found-
boat.
Wait,
the
you told me
SAS plane.
you told me last
I have
night your
dual
mom or your
citizenship.
dad's?
My dad's Norwegian.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they met in Finland.
Yeah, and that's
This is
why
so
my name
cute.
is not Hanukkah. As much as I do love Jewish people, I have a ton of
Yesterday-
Jewish friends, but my name is not
I said
Hanukkah.
to Chloe when she got home last night, I was like, I confirmed the pronunciation.
I just found out that I'm not Sicilian.
Oh.
And that I am like Norwegian and Finnish.
Mind's blown.
Someone fucked
So
up
you
somewhere.
can't- you can't
Chloe's
talk
life
like
is
this
a
anymore.
lie.
You're that guy on
A little bit of
Ancestry who
opposite.
thought he was German and wore lederhosen, but he's really Scottish and he traded it in for a kilt or something. You're gonna have to start
Nice.
eating like
That's-
lutefisk.
Out of one frying
I was
pan
married
into the
to
other
a
frying
Swede.
pan.
I like lived over there.
Did
Oh,
you
really?
It's just so weird now.
Did
didn't
you
know that.
say anything to your parents about your freaking heritage not being what they told you it was your whole life?
Well, my mom was like,
Your mom probably
wasn't having it.
She's like, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, she's like, well,
That
your
DNA stuff.
grandfather is.
When I was super young, my
oh.
older brother used to go around trying to tell people that we were like part Native American. Like he just wanted to be Kiowa Apache so bad, and he was just like, no, I did
Well,
the
I mean-
research, and we got some blood in there.
I mean, it makes
We don't, dude.
sense. I mean, just because our people lived there doesn't mean that we are that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, just because you are American now doesn't mean that you are.
Right. Well, since I was
You're-
born in Hawaii, when I was little in elementary school, when we moved to the States, I told everybody I was Hawaiian because I thought I was because I was
Yeah,
born in
you're
Hawaii.
born in Hawaii.
And I would tell everybody I was Hawaiian because that's all I knew when I was
They're
8 or
like,
9. And everybody thought it was weird. And then one day my mom had to like break it to me that I wasn't. And I was like devastated. I was like, but I was born there. She's like, it doesn't matter. You're not like, we're not from here.
Anthony Bourdain just did this huge thing. He went to Hawaii and did this huge thing
Yeah.
about, okay, but you're Asian and you live in Hawaii, but you're not Hawaiian. And
Right.
he's like, no, I'm Japanese American living in Hawaii.
Right,
And
right.
it is very, I mean, God,
Yeah.
we're talking about a lot of complicated stuff.
I
It's
know.
fun.
We got very.
It is fun.
But it's for a while I thought being trans was like my like golden key because I wasn't in the Bible. There was no negative stuff about me in the Bible. And I could get married. So it was like I had that above being gay because I could get married because my birth certificate
Yeah, you're
was
no longer
changed.
sinning.
So fuck all of you. But now we're on the chopping block again. But I was like, I bypassed all that shit.
Yeah. But back to your question about the military, coming all the way back around.
Dang.
Can you just
I mean,
come
You're better
out here
at
every
this than
couple months
even
and
me
hang
keeping
out?
on point.
Keeping it on point. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think number one, let's talk about the constitutional confusion Why is the Second Amendment so much greater than all the others constantly? I don't understand why. I guess if you can only take parts of the Bible.
Could you go over what the Second Amendment is for anyone that is listening, or
that
maybe
would be the right to bear arms.
or maybe me?
Let's not.
You don't know?
I don't
It's
remember.
it's the gun. It's the gun.
It's the gun thing, which I'm going to say right now. Look, here's my feeling about this. I have no issue with guns per se. But what I do think is that everybody thinks they go to a range, shoot at a paper target, and this automatically qualifies them to now own a gun in their home. And what I'd like to point out is that until somebody is shot back at you, or you have been stress inoculated to that stimulus,
Thank you.
it's a skill that has to be developed, like trigger discipline. Those are skills that have to be developed over time, like anything else. And they're perishable. So even though I at one point was extremely proficient with a handgun, or well, I wouldn't say extremely. I was extremely proficient with a rifle, slightly less so with a handgun. I mean, I could still get the job done, but it wasn't pretty. That doesn't mean that to this day I could go pick up a 9mm and be as proficient. So people buy this weapon, and then somebody breaks in their house, and their adrenaline's going, and their heart's beating, and all they're thinking is, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And the first person that comes through the door,
their kid.
Yeah, and they don't wait to confirm the target, and they just blast away. So for all the people who may complain about the Second Amendment, I just think that there should be some more stringent requirements on all fronts. Like it should be
Right, and
an
that's-
annual certification and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I don't think you should just be able to go buy one and then
you have to do that to drive.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to do it. Exactly.
take it in Walmart with you because you think you're going to be the hero. Or, yeah, I feel like uneducated, unskilled people with guns are far more dangerous than anything else I'm going to encounter in my life.
Very, like, this mentality is very recent. It wasn't until the 1970s that I forgot the author and the book, but he brought to the mainstream the concept of living in the yellow, where his main thing was like, well, you should get a gun because you never know. And he's talking about, like, you know, green, yellow, red. Right?
Oh,
and
I
so
see.
green, you're in safety, and red, you're in a war zone. And he's like, everybody needs to be living in the yellow because you just don't know. Because there's a lot of bad people out there. There's a lot of criminals. And guess what? They have guns.
This is the opposite of what I try to teach my 10-year-old because she's a warrior. And so she'll worry about, what if Korea launches nuclear weapons? What if there's an earthquake? What if?
Yeah, your 9mm is not going to stop that.
But not only that, but if you live in the yellow all the time, your life is going to suck. Then I
So
might as well
sad.
just go
You'll just
underground.
drive yourself nuts.
Hope that, one of the, never come out because God forbid something might happen to me that would be terrible. And you spend your life waiting for something horrible to happen and then you die. Like, that's
So
shitty.
this happened over the weekend here in town. Guy had concealed carry. Got into an argument with some kids. They went back and forth. Kids walked away. He chased after them. The kids turned around. It's just the way it sounded was that they turned around to like confront him in self-defense. He pulled out his gun, shot one of them in the leg. And he was like, "Oh, I was defending myself. I'm defending myself." And
Against
it's like,
three
well,
12-year-olds.
right.
Right.
Well, he's in prison right now.
Yeah.
The guy who did the shooting, which is absolutely right. Like, you initiated a conflict and you did you escalated it. You did everything you're not supposed to do. And like, even just the rudimentary amount of training to get a concealed carry,
Is
you should have known
pathetic.
that. You
Yeah.
should have known that.
Yeah, it's
and it's just
terrible.
like, I could write a huge list of people that like should not have guns,
It's
and
the
they
risk-
couldn't go out and do
right.
it.
It's the risk-benefit ratio.
Right.
Like, isn't that, everything. What's the risk versus the benefit? And for
benefit.
me, in 99% of cases, I would say the risk, far outweighs any
Far
benefit.
outweighs.
And,
Yeah.
all the paranoia about like, to be on a government, on a government list. It's like, look, man, like you're on.
You use Google, you're on a list.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like, it's not magically okay for like a private entity to have like all these lists running on you. Like Equifax just released all your data, like, and the CEO just got a $90 million bonus to quit.
Yeah, he
to
quit,
get
right?
Fired. Or he essentially got fired. But
Step down.
it was his severance pay.
yeah, and it's like that to me that argument doesn't hold water at all, because you're already on, like, you can Freedom of Information Act, you can FOIA request your own dossier from the FBI.
Really?
Yeah, everybody has one. It's usually about.
Well, that would be interesting.
Well,
it's
I
usually
mean, they
like
know
20,
who my
yeah.
originator
It's usually
is.
just
I'm a
like
clone,
yeah,
so
it's-
I hope so.
it's
Here we go.
Usually 20 to 50 pages. I know, like, a couple. Every now and then, like, journalists or something will do something like that to just write a kind of a funny story. But it's
The
like,
FBI is now going to be inundated suddenly with requests for their dossiers.
yeah,
What
it's just
happened?
it's just, I'm going to end up on the government and they're going to come round me up and everything. It's like, well, the government has tanks and they have stealth,
Which your
bombers, and
9mm is not
they
going to help
have-
it with.
They have fucking
Right.
drones, which is like what privacy advocates have been like, because it's just like, oh yeah, we are counting on the forefathers, our founding fathers were counting on Congress and the president to be completely rational and check each other, and they didn't really have a plan for, well, what if that's not the case?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you're assuming that, like, you're putting a civilian in control of the military, that he's going to be this hyper rational, because they were children of the Enlightenment. Oh yeah, like, he's going to be this hyper rational God King type guy, and he's going to be in control of all the military. And it's like, okay,
Good plan.
yeah. So, what's your AR-15 gonna do? If you're really worried about a police state anyway,
Right.
why aren't you worried about the police and unchecked behavior?
I'm really like meh to guns. Like, we have them. It's fun to go shoot
They're
them.
fun to
I'm
use.
being
But I
my
don't-
Twitter self right now.
I don't I don't love guns, but I don't hate guns. I know that they cause problems, but I think it's the people that cause the problems, not the guns, but I think a lot, well, the other thing is a lot of people mistake me for a Democrat just because I hate Trump and most Republicans, but I also don't really love Democrats. I'm very like in the middle, and I don't like identify with either. But actually, fun fact, I don't even fucking believe in voting. Like, I don't. I don't. I don't even want to contribute towards something as corrupt as it is. But yeah, the gun thing, I'm very like meh. And
They're
I
fucking
don't.
fun.
They're fun,
but
Yeah,
I
but
would
I don't
never,
really hold
I
an
would
opinion.
never-
But why does your right to have a gun? So we're talking about the military, and most military members are very pro-gun,
Right.
but because it's a constitutional right. But my point is, why is your Second Amendment right? Why does that usurp? Why should that usurp all your other rights? Your right to free speech, your right to,
Right.
I mean, even though it's not a constitutional amendment per se, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness,
Right.
that all men and women are created equal. So I don't, if the military is here to protect us, yes, why are we causing this division in our own country? We don't need to worry
That's
about
what I don't
Korea or
understand.
Iran.
I mean,
If
and there's
you-
never going to be an answer that's going to satisfy me, I'm
No.
sure. But it's crazy that we're living in a time where we're watching ourselves go
Implode.
back in time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, when are we going to bathrooms, like the transgender bathroom thing? I'm not just saying transgender, but it's like, so now what? Black people, brown people, transgender people, gay people, we're all going to have to start using separate bathrooms again and using separate water faucets and separate public transit. Like, it,
Yeah, I mean, all that's happening right now is everything's just really divided, and we've gone back fucking 50 years in time, and everything.
Many years.
It's
Yeah.
just a violent. It's there's a lot of. I mean, this is all the culmination of basically an entire generation of like political thinking and everything, and
Right.
most people feel that the government doesn't speak for them personally anymore. They're not looking out for their benefit. So if you continue that, people are going to retreat into their worst impulses, and they're going to start, it's only natural to start fighting for what's left.
It's like a survival instinct almost, all right?
It's like, why do you think there's gang problems in poor neighborhoods? Is because they're looking at, you get tribal, you look out for each other, and you're trying to take the most of what's left. And that's my view, is like, until we counter that, like, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
It's only going to get worse. And
If I didn't love my job and my friends here, I would probably be trying to get out of the country right now.
Oh yeah. Same.
Like
But-
it's crossed my mind a few times.
But also, it's, you know, everything is worth fighting for,
Yeah.
and despair is not useful in any facet of life, like, especially not politics.
But I think that's when people ask me, you know, don't you love your country? Or when I do talk about like it, there's, you know, the whole football players kneeling in the NFL. I mean, it really is irrelevant what my opinion is because it is their First Amendment right. And being a member of the military, I swore to uphold the Constitution, uphold and defend. So it really doesn't matter what my opinion is. It's their right, and that's what I signed up to defend. So my feelings about it are irrelevant. And I just lost my train of thought. Where are we going with this?
We were
Initially?
talking about, yeah.
Oh, why don't I love my country? I feel, you know, they're like, well, if you love your country, you would want them to stand for the national anthem.
Who
No, if I love-
cares
well,
what
if I
someone
love
else
my-
wants to do?
But I think if you love your country, you love, there are two parts to that. If you love your country, you will defend what it's built on, and that's the Constitution. So if that means
Right.
you,
Okay.
you know, if that means even though I may not, and I'm not talking necessarily about the football anthem thing here, but if I love my country and I disagree with what you're doing, but it's your constitutional right, then I will respect that because that is what our country is built on. If I love my country and I don't agree with what's going on, being a patriot isn't blindly going along with everything and just saying, oh, that's great. That's great. Our country's the greatest. That's fine. Being a patriot and loving your country, it's like loving your kids. Sometimes you have to get in their ass a little bit for their own good. And if they're going off course, you've got to like
right.
get them back on course.
Yeah,
so
that's-
loving your country
that's
is
not
the
loyalty,
same.
That's fealty. Like to just be like, oh, you got to do what I say.
Well, that's
Yeah.
like with the national anthem in school and all that. Why the hell are we saying this? Like there wasn't much
Why-
behind it when they were making
why-
us
why
It
do
has
say
you-
it.
why
been
do you-
revised 13 times, and they added under God like on the third revision or
Right.
something like that.
Why
Or in the-
that didn't happen until like the Pledge of Allegiance under God didn't happen until the 1950s, and
Yeah.
that was because it was a direct reaction to communism.
My son is he's 14. He's doing mock trial club, and he
Oh,
did a
man.
speech on
fun.
the national anthem and why the words under God are included. And I didn't even know that it was added in the 50s, and that was also like the highest level of Christianity in the country, and so it was a knee-jerk reaction. But the point is, I get a lot of pushback. Oh, you're in the military, and I thought you loved our country, but you're not supporting our president, and you're not raging against the NFL anthem thing. And my point is, look, if I love my country, I'm going to speak up when I think it's going in the wrong direction, and I'm going to say something, and I'm going to uphold what it's founded on. I'm not just going to blindly go along with our president because
Why does it matter if you love your country or not if you don't care about so many of its citizens?
yeah.
That's what we are. It's like that's the whole issue that people are trying to articulate is just like the whole like, oh, like I'm a white nationalist, but I'm not a racist. That's what fucking makes you racist, man, is you're trying to say that
Right.
that only this small percentage of people
counts.
counts, and it's only a small percentage of these people that they're real, and everybody else is an outsider. And that's in that context, like the whole protesting thing starts to make sense because you are demanding people respect the flag while also saying you're not really a part of this country. It's like, okay, which is it, man? Like, are they supposed to respect the flag and respect this country? Well, make them a part of it.
Yeah.
Make them feel like they are fully part of our country, of our society, and not separate. Like,
I need to tell you really quick how pumped Ryeface is because I don't think he's ever talked this much in the history of time.
well, this is all.
I love it. I love it.
This is all in my wheelhouse of like things that I think about and talk about a lot. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's I don't know.
I could tell how excited he is. He's just,
We could just do
Well,
a whole
people-
separate podcast.
it's funny 'cause
just
people-
talk about Christianity in America.
people always say like, I wish Ryan would talk more on the podcast because he's so smart.
Well, now this is what you get. This is your reckoning.
Careful what you wish for.
This is all your reckoning.
And I'm just going down the rabbit hole in my own head, listening to
know.
them.
Well, we
Deeper
should-
and deeper. Where's my
I mean,
notes?
I feel like this was supposed to be like a light-hearted
I know.
podcast to plug why you're here and everything.
We can
but
go back
this-
to that. It's okay.
Well, no, I definitely want to
We'll
talk.
wrap up
I
that way.
definitely want to talk. How long are we already at an hour and a half? An hour?
About an hour 10.
Okay.
Jeez.
This would be a good two-parter.
No way. We're just
Yeah, no,
pump it all
just
out. People don't like
Do
the
your
two-part
cardio,
thing.
man. You got to do your
'Cause
cardio.
yeah, people don't like the two-part thing because it breaks it up too much.
I
So-
just don't understand. I mean, my basic thing is I don't understand why we are forced to say the national anthem. It's like just
we're not.
Even my
not.
super
You are in
religious
school.
conservative parents.
No, at
you
school we didn't
were-
have. At my high school we didn't have to.
We had to, and
Nope.
I remember specifically because I got in trouble.
You're also
because
twice
I
my
wasn't-
age.
right? But I remember getting in trouble because I didn't say it one day, and I stood there, and the
Oh,
rest of
really?
the class did it, and I in junior high, and I got in so much trouble, and I was disrespectful and all this, and I was like, because I'm choosing not to say something.
Well, when
like-
we in elementary school, I don't remember. I think we had to say it, but in high school, at least my English teacher, which was my first period where we said the flag, he wouldn't say it. He wanted nothing to do with it. He was like a hardcore libertarian, like crazy, and he refused to say it. And he would fucking sit his desk with his head down and he told all of us, none of you have to say it.
I don't even think we said the Pledge of Allegiance.
Really?
I don't
Yeah, and
remember.
it was very mixed, but it made a lot of students feel awkward that he wasn't saying it.
Oh.
But then, like, because a lot of students were just like, "What do we do? Do we stand up and say?" Like, it was kind of weird. But we, at least, he never required us to say it. I can't really remember other parts of high school.
I think we were allowed to just, even now
We
in
stood up
elementary school, just stand quietly and
Yeah.
respectfully, I think is what they ask people to do if they don't say it. I don't even
You know what's
it's
really
gone
weird
to the
about all
Supreme
this?
Court, and they're like, you're just like, you can keep trying to make it different, and the Supreme Court's going to come down the same way every single time. Where it's, if you're trying to force people to like worship a flag, then you're doing that for your own reasons, and it's like that doesn't make people believe it.
I just don't know why people can't just respect everybody. Like, if
Just
you
do your
want to
own
say
thing,
it,
man.
great. I respect that.
You know
if
what's
you don't want to
funny?
say it, I'll speak
This-
quietly.
This conversation made me realize, like, how I don't want to say little I care, but how much I think that, like, those words don't really matter, because I think when people say them, they're going through the motions,
Yeah.
and they're not actually meaning them. And I feel like the anthem's a routine, and it no longer holds meaning anymore. Is that weird? That's how
no,
I feel.
It's not.
no,
weird.
but I think that's
It's-
the
my super conservative parents, even my dad the other day was just like, I don't even get why we do that. Sports aren't a patriotic event.
Yeah.
He's just like, and it wasn't until 2009 that the military actually started paying the NFL to have players stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So it's like, this whole thing is insane.
Honestly,
madness.
who cares?
'Cause it's
There's so
been-
much other shit
it's
going on.
been-
Who fucking cares? Let them
Well,
stand.
that's-
Who
that's the
cares?
thing. That's
Who
the thing.
cares?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, why do we even give a shit about any of all
Because
that?
talking about like Puerto Rico is a lot more nuanced and a lot more complex, and then you have to fucking face a lot of things that you
There's
don't
so
have
much
to
other
face.
shit.
But I think
to
it's like
worry about.
the Bible conversation, right? Because you can read your Bible all day long, but if you don't go out and put it into practice, it's
Right.
just empty words. And I stand for the national anthem, and it makes me teary because I've put my ass on the
Right.
line, basically, but I also respect other people's right to not stand, and I don't think less of them for not standing. But it's just like the Bible thing. If you want to be a patriot and be an American, put your money where your mouth is. If you care so much about the anthem that you're going to go start persecuting people who don't say it, then you better step up and put your money where
Go
your
to
mouth
the recruiting office.
is. Yeah, sign up. And I guess that's my issue is I don't know why people can't just respect
You just,
that other different people want different things and just be respectful. Like,
I'm on.
like if
you
you're
know,
gonna be that,
I don't
I
know.
just realized something.
you can be that angry, man. Just
Yeah, I just don't know
go
why
be,
everybody's-
go be willing to die and instead of willing to want to kill people.
I just don't know why everybody's so concerned about what everybody else is doing. If you're not hurting anybody, why?
That's the issue.
Why are you
Who
so?
cares?
Why are you
Who
so
cares?
concerned about what people are doing in their bedrooms and what they're like? Who? Yeah, I just don't know
such a
why.
strong opinion on that.
I've been talking about the Pledge of Allegiance this whole time, not the national anthem.
Oh well,
all the
I mean, it's all the
Right.
same.
So
like-
I'm thinking Pledge of Allegiance this whole time. And then
They
I
kind
just
of
put
blend
two and two
together.
together that
Yeah.
we're talking about the national anthem with the sports stuff. So anyways,
That's it.
Chloe and I
I
are trying to
feel
do a
like-
release
I
today,
feel
and we
like-
really need
I feel like they
to.
go hand in hand.
We really need to
Move
stay
it
on
on?
track. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
All
I'm
right.
about to have an anxiety attack.
Okay. On track.
So we should talk about PowerDot.
Okay.
We should, because
Yeah,
you're
we'll wrap
here,
it up that way.
and this was a very heavy podcast, and you guys got a lot out of Rye Face, which is great. And this is probably going to be my favorite podcast we've ever done, honestly, because it's everywhere and it's great and it's like insightful and opening people's minds. Hopefully, in the future when they hear it, it will. Not present moment,
Probably
but no, I
later in the
really want to talk about PowerDot and how you got involved with PowerDot. And is PowerDot like is that your career?
Yes.
It's your full-time job.
Full-time job.
Okay, so I want to talk about what was your full-time job prior to PowerDot starting?
I worked for a competitor, another
Okay.
STEM company. Before, let's see, I got out of the Marine Corps. I sold pharmaceuticals. I went into biotech, and then I stopped all that. Honestly, I got so disgusted with the industry, and I coached and ran our CrossFit gym.
Right.
And after I went to regionals in 2013 or something, whenever that was, I got pinged for some commercial for the competitor that I used to work for, and the guy putting the commercial together hired me. I said no at first, but he's quite the salesman. So I ended up there. And then when we left that company, we actually left and purchased the global distribution rights to PowerDot. And now we're in the process of merging those companies so that we'll own it entirely, the technology and
Okay.
everything.
So that confused me a lot.
It's okay.
That's way out of my. Did you catch all that?
I caught part of it, and then there was like you were, I think, trying not to say something, and so I just kind of went with it.
Okay.
But I got confused.
Yeah. No,
So I'm gonna respect that.
I think
Okay, just pretend like
I don't
I
understand the global partner thing. But if you can't explain it right now, that's
no.
fine. I understand.
No, that's fine. So the technology is owned by
I see what you mean.
one company,
Now I
and we
see.
own the distribution rights.
Okay, yes.
But we're in the process of buying the technology, and then basically the man who owns that is the one who invented PowerDot,
Right.
and
So
then
it's
he'll
ba-
just come on board.
Makes sense.
with
he
It's
us.
all very
essentially
technical.
essentially just has the patent, and you guys are leasing it.
He's
Ish.
yes and no, yeah,
Okay.
kind of.
Yeah.
And then, but we're in the process of becoming one entity, and then he'll be our chief technology officer.
Okay.
Makes
and
sense.
yeah, we'll be one.
Right. Okay. Now I got it. So, how did PowerDot come to be, and how long did that take?
So Alex, who is our inventor, his dad was the like kind of king of STEM in Russia for all the Russian Olympic teams. Because STEM isn't new; it's been around forever. And so Alex, being an engineer, I believe he is. I'm honestly not even sure what his formal background is, but obviously something with coding and engineering. He basically was like, hey, there has to be a better way to bring STEM to the masses. It's a great technology. We have iPhones. There's literally an app for everything. Why can't we do this on an app? And while my boss, our CEO, he'll be irritated that I called him my boss, but while our CEO, Eric, was working for this other company, he was kind of keeping an eye on PowerDot, because if they launched and got 510K approval, FDA approval, as a medical device, they were going to be our biggest competitor. So he was just kind of watching in his position as the head of business development, because if they came out, we would have to react. And they did get 510K approval. Some things happened at this other company that I can't disclose, but for a variety of reasons, I was already out of contract at that point. For a variety of reasons, we decided to leave, partner up. We brought on some other partners, and so we've been around a year and a half now, which is hard to believe. It seems like forever and not a long time at the same time. In the US, we've had FDA approval as a medical device for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
So I believe.
Do you want to just talk about the device and what it does and all that?
Yeah. I mean, we're not reinventing anything. Like I said, stem is stem is stem is stem. You can bend electricity and move it and form it in a million different ways. There's not anything crazy there. I think Europeans are very comfortable with stem, or if you've been an athlete in college, you had stem. But the general American public, I don't think, realizes what a gold mine it is. It's very non-invasive therapy, and it's therapy through electricity. We just basically made the barriers to usage disappear. It used to be a large external device. There were wires. It was kind of, great technology, great science, but just a little bit of a process. At PowerDot, we removed that. It operates off an app on your phone, and who doesn't take their phone with them?
I remember like 6 years ago having to use it at the doctor's.
Yeah.
The big box.
Yeah.
You had to lay on the table. You had cords connecting everywhere.
Yeah.
Like across
It was
the
like a big
room.
science experiment.
I was like, they're electrocuting me. This is weird.
No.
I worked with one of your competitors, obviously won't say who. And honestly, like, I liked the device, but it was so bulky and inconvenient. Like, I never used it.
Yeah.
And they were also like freaking 3 times the price as a PowerDot. And honestly, the PowerDot just fucking works the exact same. It has the same amount of power that one of those big units does that you would get from someone else, And like the thing that really sold me on it's the convenience. Like, I travel a lot, and I can bring the little things this big. If you guys are listening, it's the size of...
It's smaller than a headphone case.
It's like 4x4.
It's
right?
smaller than a
Yeah.
headphone
I mean,
case.
and it's flat, and I can put it it literally fits in my freaking big Herschel fanny pack. Like it's lightweight and it's easy, and I can bring it anywhere, and I've like worn it on airplanes and airports,
it's really low
everything.
profile, so you can put it on a plane under your sweatshirt. Nobody even knows. You can use it's an app on your phone that runs the actual device. You can use all the apps on your phone while you're running the device, and because it's app based, the other question I got a lot was, well, I don't understand where to put the pads. Well, because it's app based, we can put a lot of
Photos
images, education, links, and also because it's an app, when we update things, like our Gen 2 update, which is coming out soon, I can't tell you when, but in January, there's going to be some amazing stuff coming to fruition, like Q1-ish. I'll say Q1-ish because we all know that there are no like hard dates and that stuff. But our Gen 2 will be through an app update. So you don't need to feel like you bought like the iPhone. I bought the latest iPhone and now a year later I need to buy the new latest iPhone. You just get new stuff on an app update.
An app, right.
So it's very, we're a business. We want to make money, but we're also not out to try to like trick you into buying some new $400 device every 2 years. I really wish I could talk about the stuff that's coming out because you're going to be mind blown. Like you're just going to be, but it's for everything from soreness to achiness to massage, blood flow, pushing nutrients in your muscle, warming up properly so you don't hurt yourself. And then there's some strength applications post-surgery, or even if you're just trying to squeeze out that last bit of strength and you're just at that plateau, it'll actually help activate specific muscle fiber types. Or if you're old like me and you can't be on a Russian squat program every day, you can actually use PowerDot to help keep you strong because I'm old.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I've used this thing a shitload. I was fucking.
I have never used one.
You've never used it. I was hooked up.
We'll get you one. We have to fix that.
Because I got Ben one for his back. Okay. So Ben's a traveling musician, drummer, would go on 2-month tours, living in a bunk in a tour bus, and his lower back was destroyed. So I got him one, and he used it every day, literally maybe 2 or 3 times a day for about 3 weeks, and felt fine.
Nice. That's
Fine.
good to hear.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I've only ever used these.
Yeah.
I've only ever used, I use and this is new, right?
Yeah.
Light recovery is new. So I've always used these 2 massage, and I have used it for warm up. So if I knew I was like benching one day, I'd put it on the drive to the gym.
Yeah.
On like my, shoulders and pecs and stuff, and warm up on the way. But I've never used these bottom ones, muscle endurance, strength endurance, resistance strength, explosive strength, because I don't know their purpose.
Yeah, and most people don't. I think that's pretty common. We're coming out actually tomorrow. We're shooting a bunch of educational video specifically related to how to use these performance
that's very cool.
programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this will actually, this blank little box down here, you guys can't see it. There's an empty spot for a box that will provide a link to where all the videos live.
Oh,
so you could just go.
That was going to be my next question.
Link to it. Yeah, so it's really user friendly. But basically, CrossFitters live in the strength, endurance, and resistance, where more like a power lifter and Olympic lifter might live more in resistance and strength.
Okay.
But we'll be coming out some very detailed videos on how to use that within a program. But you can find, John Wellborn does a lot on this, so you could also.
Do you know if there's
listen
any
to some of
STEM
his
research
stuff.
on headaches?
There is actually
That's
a
like
lot
my
with
biggest
migraine.
thing. I have
That's
like
what she gets,
horrible
chronic migraines.
Yeah. I mean, so I was at a PT conference this last week, and I mean, those guys geek out on this stuff to the nth level, and they're actually building their own like stim machines that are a little more invasive. We're not obviously at that level,
Right.
but we have had people, we're not FDA approved for migraine treatment. I have to say that, but we do have people use it at the base of their neck, and it is a vasodilator. It opens up those blood vessels and pushes blood around. So it does, we have had people tell us it's helped them tremendously for migraines, but.
Yeah, and even the thing that I did use it for was so when my knee exploded last year, because I remember I got the device right before I flew to South Africa, I remember. And I would like hook it up on these muscles around my knee, and it made my knee feel better. It just increased the blood flow and stuff, everything like that. And it helped, like obviously didn't heal my knee, but it definitely helped with the pain and my knee's performance through that injury.
Yeah, we're definitely not saying that this is it. Like, get a PowerDot and it's the panacea.
and you no longer have AIDS.
Yeah. PT's out of business. You're out of here.
Go to AIDS, didn't you?
Yeah, solves everything. But yeah, I mean, it's a tool. It's very easy to use. You know, traveling with a foam roller and like an ice pack and all this other stuff is not easy. This is very easy and low profile. And there is data. I mean, we do have an FDA clearance as a medical device, which means we have safety and efficacy data. So it's not voodoo science. We didn't build this in my garage like over the weekend and like, hey kids, look what we made.
Frankenstein machine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's for me, as an older athlete and just having been a collegiate athlete and, you know, I want to extend my longevity as long as I can. And I feel like this is one of those things that helps me. So I travel with mine too. It's in my backpack right now.
For me, it's just been really like, I've been only using it for recovery pretty much because obviously I'm not the athlete I was a year and a half ago, right now at least. Maybe never again. We don't know. But as I've used it, I've basically been injured since I've been an ambassador for you guys in some capacity. And I've been using it for like injuries and stuff, and like when my lower back flares up, stuff like that. And I've been using it to like keep my body intact, and it's helped so much. And obviously, it didn't heal any injuries, but it made them more manageable. Yeah, and it helped me get through my day better.
Which makes, that stories like that make me happy. I run our social media, so I'm the one who's literally responding to every message, and we do try to respond to every single message.
Yeah, we do too.
And that makes me happy when people message us and say, this has been a life changer for me, or this has really helped me recover from X, Y, and Z. That's at the end of the day, one of the reasons I left to work with our CEO now is because of his integrity. Mm-hmm. He is a business person, but he wants to make money and be successful in business with integrity, which for me means a lot.
It's huge.
It's very rare.
Not many people.
No. Yeah. And so for me, it feels good to work at a company that has good intentions, that is trying to do right by the consumer, wants to help people in their whatever their journey is, make people feel better.
Right. So. And I think that's like the biggest difference I saw right away with you guys is, first of all, like I was more than willing to pay for the damn thing. Like I sent the message because I wanted to make sure I got it before I left.
Right.
And like I know enough people that you guys either sponsor or use it that like put in a ton of good words, and I was all about the convenience. And then I think Robert wrote me back first.
Probably.
Yeah. And he was just like, oh my gosh, we're actually really big fans. Like, we're happy to and I was like, oh my gosh, like blown away. But like right from the beginning, as I like built a relationship with you guys and got to know you guys, it was different from the previous competitor. And that competitor saw my Instagram following and saw dollar signs. And I could tell that they had no interest in even getting to know like anything about me or anything. Like they literally saw my Instagram following. They're like, hey, you want to be a sponsored athlete? Like there was no, you know.
Yeah, what are you about?
Yeah, and I was kind of like turned off by that a little bit. And that's why I don't think it ever went anywhere. But with you guys, it's felt like I feel so taken care of. And like you guys have some huge athletes. Like Maddie Rogers is one of your athletes. And every single time I talk to you guys, I feel as important as Maddie Rogers. And like, I've never once felt like just because like I'm an ambassador with like a smaller following than some of these girls, or I'm like not as competitive as some of these girls. Like I've never felt like that. I've always felt like an equal across the board, and it feels really good. And I love it. And I can't I know I'm not always the best at posting on social media, but like, behind the scenes, like at the gym and at events and when, you know, guests in town and this and that and everything, planes, tell everybody about what is that? Well, what do you ask?
Let me tell you.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like I'm always on a mission to promote PowerDot because it's made up of incredible, passionate people.
Thank you.
And the product's great, but you guys are all great, incredible. And honestly, everybody I know has nothing but the nicest shit to say about you guys.
Oh, that's so
I have
nice.
never heard a bad word anywhere ever about PowerDot or the people behind it or anything.
Thank
and like
you.
that says a lot because it's really easy to like pick a company apart or pick people apart, and people aren't doing that with PowerDot. And I think that says a lot about what you guys are doing.
Thank you. I mean, I think Eric has to be given credit for that. He's made it a mission to surround himself with people who think the same way.
Yeah.
And we genuinely want to have relationships with our ambassadors.
Right.
We want to know what they're about. And I feel the same way. I feel like I don't just want to pay to play. I want to know who these people are.
Right.
And honestly, I mean, you could be the biggest athlete in the world, and if you're just a horrible person or a total
That was
pain
gonna
in the
be
ass
my
to
next
deal with,
question.
We
like,
talked
no,
about
thank
this
you.
before,
My
yeah.
question was going to be, do you actually research these people like before that's proposition to make sure that they're not bigots or assholes or like?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, we vet people.
We've gotten rid of
Yeah.
a couple. I mean, we have had to let not probably in the CrossFit community, but we have had to let a couple people go either because they're promoting things on their social that we don't agree
Right,
with
right.
or we don't want to stand for, or just they're difficult and entitled. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, if you're, that's
We
not
did a
what we're
whole
about.
podcast on this.
Yeah, I you know, that's just not who we are. We don't want to deal. I don't care who you are. If you're difficult and entitled and hard to deal with, sorry. I mean, that's not what I don't have time to deal with that in my life.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think a lot of brands that are trying to build their brand get caught up with the wrong people because they're more worried about their Instagram following than they are who they are as a person.
Right.
Yeah, and if any, I mean, yeah.
No, and you guys, I mean, like the athlete roster for PowerDot's great. Like,
thanks.
it's a bunch of really, I mean, I love Jackie. I freaking love Jackie.
She is
She
riot.
is completely insane.
Yes.
She's an insane person, but I adore her, and I love that I get to call her one of my best friends.
And
She's actually
real, and she's real. She's like the real deal.
Yeah, and she's no bullshit ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Nothing about that girl is bullshit
No.
in any capacity. But she's actually the one who, like, I text her about it and talked to her a little about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, because she was with a different competitor before.
Yeah.
And then, when she told me that, like, PowerDot was just blew anything else out of the water, I was like, all right, I'm just going to get one.
Yeah, Jackie, you never have to guess
Right.
what she's thinking, which I
Yeah.
love. Like, I'm a huge fan of transparency and directness, obviously, and I love her. And I mean, Josh Bridges is as nice
Yeah,
as he
he's
is.
awesome.
Yeah, he's just the nicest guy. I mean, we've been very fortunate with our athletes. I think you can vet people to the moon and back, but there is always going to be one or two that you vet and you do your homework and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So, yeah.
I know that.
So, but I mean, I feel like we've gotten very,
Very
lucky
well.
with our
Yeah.
athletes and our ambassadors. We have a great
And
rep crew.
I'm even someone like I I've gotten offers from other companies before, companies that I like, but because of certain other sponsored athletes on the roster, I've turned it down because I can't be associated with that person. And, you know, it's happened with like several protein companies, protein bar companies and stuff like that. It's like, you know,
He's looking at me because there's.
I know. I see these looks flying. I'm like,
and yeah,
I
there's
can't say anything. With
no,
virtual
don't, don't
happening right now. But
okay, don't say anything.
yeah. So I mean, for
Be a
me, it's like
non-taped conversation.
I'm really like proud to be on the team, and like I'm really proud to be able to say like, yeah, I'm a PowerDot ambassador. Like that's cool for me to say because like I get to be, you know, granted I get like I'm an ambassador, but I still get to be on the same team as people like Josh Bridges and Maddie Rogers and Jackie and people who like I think are incredible role models, you know. So it feels really good for me to like just get to be involved. I love it.
Well,
and I know I
thanks.
don't post the most and I'm kind of bad at it but I try.
No, I mean, look, I'd rather have quality than quantity.
Yeah.
So
that's how we are too.
Yeah, I'd rather you did one good post than like 100, you know.
Right.
Like,
And I'm really
my opinion
like,
is some people post. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of posting.
and I'm really I'm really like authentic. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
only going to post when
That's a
I'm
good
actually using it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to like yesterday.
Stage a situation.
Right.
Yeah, I saw your.
Yeah, yesterday
100
my abs were wrecked because I did 100
I saw
GHDs
that.
earlier this week. So I was using it and I was like, oh, I'm going to take a picture.
Yeah.
You know, it's never like, oh, I'm going to slap this on really quick and take a picture for
I'm gonna
Instagram.
change out of
Like,
all
yeah,
my clothes
yeah.
and get a good picture.
But I'm like
I'm just keeping my mouth shut right now.
I know. What? Okay, we should just wrap it up because
Yeah.
I know
All right,
Chloe
let's
and I
end
really
there.
want to have a conversation.
I
Okay.
do want to say this though. This just came to me. I really feel like we need to do another one because I really want to do a personal and relationship talk with the three of us because I think we're all in
Right.
three different, very different spots. And I think it would be a fantastic conversation and we could do a call in
Yeah, we could just do a call-in one. Yeah.
because I would love that.
Yeah, we can do like a FaceTime call. I can
Yeah.
record it.
I mean, it's not terrible to have to come up here again.
It's not too far,
Are
yeah.
you in Southern California?
Yeah, I flew out of San Diego and yeah.
You're in like
The
Encinitas,
Temecula
right?
part makes
No.
sense.
I'm in
I mean, we could
Temecula,
always
yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
We could always
go
take
to
a
You could
trip.
come to Encinitas, take it on the
yeah.
road or whatever. But
We should do a little podcast tour. Please.
We are
Yeah,
due
I'm
for
down.
a trip.
We'll do like a 5-day. We'll go
I
down
like-
through SoCal
I
and
like
stop.
that area.
Okay, that's cool.
I have a
That's a
couple
good idea.
friends in
Come
Southern
I mean,
on.
especially now that it's getting colder, it's the perfect time for us to do it.
we'll get on a
Go to
wine
San
tour
Diego.
bus, a bunch of tattooed women
Yeah.
and you.
Ryan.
And we'll scare the shit out of all of the
pretty much
wineries
addicted,
in Temecula. Okay, well, put on a tank top. We'll get on a wine tour bus and scare the bejesus out of
Please.
everybody at the wineries.
This is going to
in
happen.
Temecula.
Like,
I'll
I'll start planning it next
I'll
week.
get,
Okay.
I'll get trashed.
We'll talk about dates.
My husband's heavily tattooed as well, so we can just all have like a tattoo takeover
Right.
on the bus and scare.
Just get surly.
The
Everyone.
Iron Cast
Yeah.
tattoo takeover. The Iron Cast does SoCal.
Yes,
Then we go.
do it. All right, now
All
it's
right.
in the books.
Thank
All
you
right, well,
so,
thank
so
you.
much
Thanks for being on.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Tell
This
everybody
was-
where they can find you and everything like
do
that.
The final plug
Oh well.
for your nonprofit and for your company.
Yes, for the nonprofit is Operation 22 MST. So they're just at Operation 22 MST. And PowerDot is at my PowerDot. And you can order at PowerDot.com. That's it. But
Plug
And you
yourself
can
personally?
use
No.
the code ChrissyMay15
yes, you
You're like
can
me.
use that
to
code.
save 15%
Yes,
off.
please go follow those pages as opposed to my own, and of course you guys. Thank you so much for being the most amazing host. I was a podcast virgin, so
Oh, yeah, you did
Yes.
awesome.
thank
I
you.
had no
Not-
idea. You
I
just
had no
sat
idea.
down
Not
and
a-
did it. So
Thanks. No, I've never
wow,
done this
this was-
before, so
that was exciting to
inaugural
find out.
podcast.
Yeah, it's literally just a conversation, you know?
Yeah, just holding the mic. Where
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you guys though so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Toodaloo.